Welcome to the show, everybody. This is episode number 241 of the Iron Coop Fights movies. This episode is available on iTunes, YouTube, Google Play, and hosted by SoundCloud. I'm Keo, your host. With me on the show today are my co-hosts Emerson
Hey, what's going on?
and Everett.
Hey, what's up?
This week, the team reviews Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2. I think we'll just keep it about Harry Potter this week. There's not a whole lot of news anyway. I'm going to explain our rating system. On this show, we give the titles that we have watched a rating of win, draw, or loss. A win is a title that we would highly recommend, while a draw is a title we didn't love but recognize others may appreciate. A loss means we do not recommend the title. You know what? I will actually just say a little bit of news right now. There's just a bunch of rumors. They're saying Jane Foster's going to get her own project. They're saying John Krasinski confirmed as Reed Richards. But like nothing has really
It's just noise.
yeah. And maybe like they're like Tom Cruise is definitely not in Multiverse of Madness because remember he was supposed to be Iron Man.
Yeah.
Iron Man variant. So anyway, just like no real news.
Okay.
All right. Now on to our review of the week. A clash between good and evil awaits as young Harry, Ron, and Hermione prepare for a final battle against Lord Voldemort. Harry has grown into a steely lad on a mission to rid the world of evil.
What the fuck?
The friends must search for the Horcruxes that keep the dastardly wizard immortal. Harry and Voldemort meet at Hogwarts Castle for an epic showdown where the forces of darkness may finally meet their match.
Who the fuck wrote this?
Did I already
That's
say our
weird.
rating system?
Yeah,
I think so. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Who wants to go first?
I'll go first. So I'm gonna give this a draw. One thing that was interesting while watching this, I think it was Half-Blood Prince, Kia, where you said there was a whole battle that they just skipped over, like they said didn't happen. I
Yeah.
wonder if they were like, oh well, we're gonna basically just do the same thing twice. I wonder if that was a discussion that they had, and they're like, okay, we're gonna like put the battle here because we only want to do one for some reason. But so watching this, the battle was fairly
Wait,
interesting.
are you saying that you think there was a battle missing from the movie?
Well, no, you said in Half-Blood Prince there was a really big battle.
Right.
And when I was watching this, based on how you described the battle in Half-Blood Prince, like everyone's running around and it's chaos, like it almost seems like some of that got put into this battle. I don't know how this battle was described in the book, but it seems like they were like, we're doing one battle and this is the one we're going to do.
Yeah, this battle is missing a lot of what was in the book.
I believe it. So I mean the
They
battle
didn't
was
add
okay.
anything. Let's put it that way.
The battle was okay. But overall, I remember really liking this movie. I didn't like it as much this time. The ending also, I was really just like, I don't care. Like I really just like the ending just felt weird. And not just the weird like epilogue, but also he's like what he was doing with the Elder Wand at the end and the things he were saying. And I want to ask what the ending was like in the book. So yeah, it's a draw for me. I can see how someone who really loves Harry Potter is like, oh my God, it's the final end. But just watching it, and I haven't read the books. I just was like, this isn't as good as I remember it being.
I'm gonna give it a tentative win because there actually are a lot of scenes in this movie that I like.
Is it a winner or not?
I love
I'll give it a win. I'll give it a win. A win with a little bit of hesitation. I was gonna give it a draw, but it is a win.
Same
It is
thing
a-
you already said.
Can you let me talk, please?
On a scale of 1 to 3, I give it a 2.3, and then
But it is a 3.
Do you want to go first? Because
No, go ahead.
I did go first.
I give it a win. There are scenes in this movie that I really like. I think the score is also really good because there's a lot of songs that I feel like are really, really good. But Emerson's right. The ending is a little weird. And I know there are some major differences from the books, specifically how he handles the Elder Wand at the end that I'm kind of annoyed at. But I'm interested to hear your differences changes. So that's going to be fun. But yeah, I give it a win because I enjoyed it.
I give it a loss. I think that the movie is pretty much inferior to the book in every single way. I like the Gringotts sequence. although it was better in the book. But like that part wasn't bad. Um, the ending is bizarre, and I think I know how it happened, why it ended up that way. Um, but yeah, I just think that this movie and the movies overall, like the overall series, I think is just not really worth it aside from the merchandising opportunities. I think that like if I were gonna like if these books didn't exist and I had this idea and I was gonna like make movies, I'm like, all right, let's tell this whole saga in movies. I would streamline a lot of things. I would probably rewrite certain aspects. Um, like and we've been over it, but ultimately I would as a competent writer, I would look at something like the Goblet of Fire and be like, okay, he should just be straight into the movie and straight into the tournament and cut out like so many of the weird things and um or if I wanted to do the original idea, like it can't be a movie. It just doesn't make sense. It doesn't make any sense. And so like you see that for most of the movies where it just doesn't work as a film. And then you get here and they split it into two and you're like, all right, so now they have the time to actually do it. And they like cut out half of the final battle of Hogwarts, which by the way in the book wasn't that great either. And yeah, I'm just like, so what was the point? I don't know. Aside from merchandising.
And the money they knew they would make because of the established
Yeah.
audience.
Yeah.
Yeah. These are not movies worth watching. Like I think the music is good and the visual reference if you like the books. Aside from like, because I seem to encounter people now when they talk about Harry Potter, they seem to be talking about the movies, not the books. Like, oh, I love Harry Potter, and it's like they're talking about the
I
movies.
think they've blended together, and you got to remember another big thing is when something is popular, it's really easy to become a fan of it without really like thinking about it. Do you know what I mean? This happens a lot with
Yeah.
Marvel.
Yeah.
It's just this thing that's around and you talk about it and it's a shared experience and you become a fan of it.
You're a
Yeah.
fan, but you're not invested, essentially.
Yeah. So overall, I think the movies, just like some of the Marvel movies, are just kind of a missed opportunity.
I would agree with that. And like what you were saying, how you wanted to see it rebooted as a long form TV show.
It needs to be rebooted.
I think
I'd love to see this as a television show.
100% with a high budget and competent directors and
Change
writers.
Change it a little bit. Let people like, be surprised a bit, like a different character, a different twist on it.
what if one of the subplots is there's a pedophile at Hogwarts and they have to like track him down, and they keep going to Dumbledore's.
You guys saw that text I sent you, right, about that Snape quote?
Yeah, where he's like, and what the hell are you doing in the closets after hours?
The quote is, "What are you doing with Potter? All these evenings you are closeted together." Snape asked abruptly. Dumbledore looked weary. It's like you couldn't, if you wanted to like make a fan theory that he was a
you
pedophile.
Couldn't give us more evidence.
Yeah, he pulls him into the closet.
It's literally as close to possible as being real, but not being real. Like they've given us all the ammo needed for us to try to make a convincing argument without saying it's real.
Yeah. So anyway, let's get into the book and the movie. So Harry buries Dobby, and he does it by hand, as tribute to him. The book has this weird situation where Harry has to decide. He's like, okay, I know Voldemort is like on the move. I need to decide if I'm going to talk to Griphook first to try to get into Gringotts, to try to get into the vault, to try to get the Horcrux, or if I'm going to talk to Ollivander and pursue the Deathly Hallows. He chooses Griphook, which basically means like he can't talk to Ollivander, except he does. And
he does that in the book too?
Yeah. So the movie cuts out the whole like, which one should we do?
I think that's a better choice because he just kind of chats to them and
Right. It's also a weird way to start the movie where it's like, all right, Dobby's funeral, and now let's have two different scenes of exposition.
Yeah.
That it's rough, and that's honestly how she wrote it. And so like I don't put that on the movie. So they interrogate Griphook, and then so I was wrong. I think last week I had ended a chapter too early, and up to the point where I should have read, Voldemort does steal the wand from Dumbledore's grave.
Okay. Okay.
So in the book, Griphook says, "I want the Gryffindor sword," and Harry, rather than being like, "Fine, but we need it to destroy these Horcruxes. So if you help us get the Horcruxes, and then we destroy them, and there's more after this one, I will give it to you." And Griphook, before that, and you see it in the movie, does spend some time discussing about how Harry is like an unusual wizard. Like he's like, "You buried the house elf," and he says like other things like, "You're not like other wizards," or whatever. So it stands to reason that maybe Griphook would understand. Like he's not saying no, he's not double crossing, but he just needs it, and then will return it to me after he's successful. I can understand why Griphook wouldn't take that deal, but in the book they decide to say okay and not give it to him. This is Harry's plan. And Hermione's like, you guys can't do this. This is wrong. And Ron's like, "Yeah, what's the difference?" Ron is fucking useless, by the way. And Harry is like, I got to do what I got to do. And I'm like, this is crazy. Like, I feel like you could just talk to him. You just
Yeah.
saved his life.
Because
Like,
the movie doesn't have them deciding to cheat him.
Yeah. So what happens is they get to the vault.
Yep.
Well, actually, Bill warns Harry. He's like, goblins don't think of possession the way that we do. Like when we hand down these goblin-made artifacts, they think that that's wrong and it's theft, and that when somebody dies, whoever purchased it, they think of it as renting. So if they make a sword for you and you die, it belongs now to the goblin who made it, not to your son who you left it for in your inheritance. And so he's like, if you're thinking of doing anything like any sort of deal with him, you need to be very fucking careful. And Harry's like, because in his mind, it's like, oh yeah, we just discussed like double crossing him. And so I thought that was cool and should have been in the movie.
Yeah, because that's world building. That's the kind of stuff that's interesting. Like the
Yeah.
goblins have their own way of thinking, and like
Even with 2 movies, you don't get stuff like that. Like crazy. They change Ron's appearance. That's also in the book, but they don't even talk about it in the movie. He just has a beard.
yeah,
Yeah, that was kind of weird, but all right.
So they had Bellatrix's hair. So they
Mhm.
had Polyjuice Potion enough for one person, is why she was the only one who looked different. And why Griphook and Harry had to go in under the invisibility cloak. They go to Diagon Alley. Bellatrix gets recognized by, I think, one of the guys. Was there a Death Eater in the movie
Yeah, he's
that
like, hello.
recognized her?
yeah. He's
She's
like
cool.
Madame Lestrange.
She says good morning, right? Is that
Yeah,
what happens?
Yeah, but that guy leaves. But there's another guy who comes and like joins up with her.
that's not in the movie.
And they go, and he goes along for the whole time. They have him Imperious. Harry has to use the Imperious curse to get him to like calm the fuck down because he's about to rat him out.
Yeah, let me say, like, they use the unforgivable curses pretty liberally in this movie, and in the
Yeah,
book.
I was gonna actually bring that up. Is the Imperious Curse an unforgivable curse?
I
Mhm.
believe so. Yeah.
Okay,
It is.
so but this movie just makes it out to be like, because when it's like the rainbow puff, that's what it is, right?
Yeah,
This
it's
movie
mind
just makes it
control.
out like it just makes people happy, like hey, like
It
and
makes
agree.
them. It sort of looks like it makes them compliant almost, but it's mind control essentially. But
Yeah.
remember what I said? Like, I think they legalized the curses during the Wizarding War. I think. So I think like it's acceptable because everybody uses them now.
Yeah, but they don't use them in the final battle.
Well,
So that guy's there. There's also guards at Gringotts that Harry has to like confound, and I don't know how they don't get caught, but he like confounds them right away as they're gonna pass because they're gonna notice that Bellatrix is like, it's like a magic image or whatever. So they go. The goblins are interrogating about Bellatrix's wand. Clearly, they've been tipped off that there will be an imposter. This is mentioned in the book, and they know that she doesn't have her wand. And Harry's like, actually, because they have Bellatrix's wand, so like it was actually really stupid for them to bring her wand to try to pass off as her, because everybody knows that she doesn't have her wand and who took it. So they know. So I forget, somehow they end up like, okay, we're going to go to the vault, and the goblins seem to have a trap laid for them, but they confound, or the Imperious one of the goblins that's in the movie,
Mhm.
and he takes him down, and then they get hit with that waterfall that washes away any magical.
The thief's
effect.
downfall, I think they called it.
So it washes away any magical effect, and they get into the vault, and that whole thing where they multiply or whatever.
Gemini curse.
And Harry just barely gets to the goblet, but he drops the sword, and Griphook just steals it, and starts screaming like thieves, help, blah blah blah. And the movie, it's done a little different, but it's still like effective.
General idea is the same. Yeah.
What doesn't work in the movie is like how Harry gets to the top and it like all stops because he'd be touching it, and the idea is that you get crushed to death. So like he'd be touching it and it wouldn't stop. It would always be going. So that part doesn't make any sense.
Can I ask you guys something real quick?
Mhm.
So they added that Gemino curse to make everything multiply. Most of that stuff's like gold. So can you imagine like just having like a wealth of money in the wizarding world and you could just multiply it anytime you
Well,
want?
I don't think that they're real.
None of that stuff is real?
I don't think it's
the
like
initial thing is real, but then
Yeah.
the copies are not.
Okay.
the copies are probably not, I'm guessing. I'm guessing like they can be undone.
Or they fade away after some time, or they
Yeah.
like rot. Yeah.
All right.
So there's that dragon down there who's albino and blind because he's been in the caves. So all that is pretty good. They unshackle him, they jump on his back, and they get out of there. That's pretty good. I would be more shocked. I was expecting like the whole world to be like, holy shit, Harry Potter robbed Gringotts. And not like,
But
'cause
instead, no one mentions it. It's just
they
like,
they're kind of, I know, understand there's other things happening, but like when he meets all the kids when he goes back to Hogwarts, you wouldn't expect people to be like, what the fuck was that? And there is a little bit of that in the book, but that was like something that could have never been done.
Also, as a side note, remember how in the second book in the movie, they made such a big deal about them almost like revealing the secrecy of wizard kind by flying the car over London?
Yeah.
In the last like two movies and in this book, they basically screw all that. Like they had a fight on the freeway in front of all those people, and they flew a dragon over a populated area. Like they just must not care anymore.
They had a fight on the freeway.
Remember in the
When-
first movie, when they're escaping the battle of the Seven Potters, they fly through the tunnel.
Oh, right. Yeah. Because that wasn't even in the book. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then there's this weird scene where they all take their clothes off after they escape from the water.
okay.
Yeah.
Jump off the dragon's back, and then they like take off their clothes. But in the sixth book, Dumbledore uses a spell to dry Harry's clothes after they swim to the cave. And I'm like, why don't you just do that? I don't know. So they decide, and I forget exactly how this goes, but so now they have the diary that's destroyed, the ring, the locket, they have the goblet, they have they suspect Nagini and something else at Hogwarts. I forget how. How
Yeah.
does he realize it's Hogwarts?
Well, isn't he goes somewhere and they say that the final one is at Hogwarts, don't
Well,
they?
he has a vision, I'm pretty sure, and he sees it.
He has a vision, yeah. And
then in the
and
movie,
that-
at least, Luna is like, "Oh, it's the diadem."
Yeah, she tips
Yeah.
him off.
yeah, no, that happens. So yeah, he must have seen a vision, which is like he had a vision. I think maybe because Voldemort was thinking about the Horcruxes. It's at this point in the movie where Voldemort. There's like a scene where he's like thinking about it, like how could he have known? Like, there's no way they would have known. And then it starts flashing as he goes to each place and sees that they're destroyed. So like he goes to the cave first, and Harry has a flash where he like sees that the locket is gone or something. So they go to Hogsmeade and they get caught because they're like past curfew, so the alarm sounds. And then there's Dumbledore's brother. Did you guys like this?
Aberforth.
So I always remembered, like, I never remember this part. I think almost every time I've watched this movie, I forget about this part because I'm like, who the fuck is this? Like, what's his role? Like, do I care? I took it as a MacGuffin just to see, like, oh, this is what he's seeing in the mirror. There you go. Like,
So yeah, every time he's seeing Dumbledore, it's actually Aberforth.
Mhm.
Did in was it Order of the Phoenix? I forget. Did we see it in the movie where he runs into Mundungus Fletcher and like holds him up against the wall? And it's like, you're stealing from me.
No.
Okay, because that was the day he sold the mirror to Aberforth. I think.
I think in the movies, I think the first time you see Mundungus Fletcher is in Deathly Hallows Part 1. I vaguely remember a scene
He
in one
might
of the
be
older
in,
movies.
in Goblet of Fire, because you remember he failed to appear, and I think that like you see him like making excuses at the Order.
I don't think so.
No, that wasn't Goblet of Fire. That was it?
I think Order of the Phoenix, there was a scene like where creatures
Order of
like
the
doing
Phoenix.
stuff and he yells at him, but
It's Order of the Phoenix. I think Mundungus is in that because he's part of the Order. He didn't look new to me. Like I had seen him already. Did
I
you
don't
think
remember
he
that
was
at
new,
all.
Emerson?
I think I remember what you're talking about where he appears in Order of the Phoenix, but it was like a very brief moment and then we
Yeah.
don't see him again.
Yeah, like they're mad at him because he like wasn't at his post or whatever, and he had gone off to sell some stupid thing. So Dumbledore or Aberforth tells the story of Ariana, the sister, who is the person in the painting.
Mhm.
So her story is basically that I forget what was wrong with her.
she got like tortured or something and like messed up her mind
She
as a
got
kid.
tortured by muggles and like was like sort of mentally unstable and
Mhm.
dangerous. And she killed her mom by accident. Is that right?
I don't know about the mom. I just know that she got tortured by muggles and
I think she got killed. She killed her mom by accident. And then Grindelwald, Aberforth, and Dumbledore got into a fight, and one of them killed her by accident. They're not sure who it was.
I'm pretty sure that's like the big three-way duel that they're alluding to in the Fantastic Beasts movies, like the duel to end all duels.
Why is Aberforth
No,
fighting Dumbledore?
no, that's not the one. That's not it.
It isn't? Okay.
Because he was trying to leave to go with Grindelwald and to like, I don't know, figure out how to dominate Muggles, like sort of like a Nazi or whatever. And
Dumbledore was?
yeah,
Okay.
that was, remember, like Rita Skeeter had her. It's not in the movies really, but she had like the
Yeah.
new.
And so
Secrets of
Aberforth was
Dumbledore.
like the good guy in the family?
Well, he was like, you're not fucking leaving to go do whatever the fuck you were trying to do, and Grindelwald, like, it was really Aberforth and Grindelwald, and they were like getting into it, and Dumbledore got into it, and then she ended up dead, and that's why like Dumbledore takes the blame for
Holy
what
shit!
happened.
What if that character in the end of Fantastic Beasts 2 is transgender, and they become Dumbledore's sister? Because there's no mention of a third brother.
Yeah, that maybe maybe that's
And this
it.
is like how they get back at J.K. Rowling. They're like, we're gonna change everything.
What Aurelius Dumbledore becomes his sister?
So they go through the portrait. In the book, it's a ton of exposition. I don't really care, but the problem is like when it's Dumbledore's brother in the movie, it seems like he's barely in it.
Yeah, well, it's literally
Yeah.
like what the fuck? You're Dumbledore's brother? Yep, bye. Like, and then you see him one other time for like a flash in the battle.
Because you hear about him,
And you see him in the like at
exposition.
the hospital area, but yeah.
In the books, you read all about him, but you didn't see that in part one. So this guy literally just shows up. I mean, it's like what? I mean, if you want to read about the Harry Potter characters, what is the point if you're going to do Aberforth like that? So they go into, this part is weird. They go into the room of requirement where like the resistance has been holding out, and people have been coming through the portrait, and they've heard that Harry Potter is back. The movie's timeline is a little wonky because like the kids are there, but then more people come in, but some are already there. Anyway,
I didn't know that was the room of requirement. I took that as that was the new Gryffindor common room.
I thought it kind of
Yeah,
looked like it looked like Lupin's classroom from when he taught Defense Against the Dark Arts.
it was somewhere they couldn't be found
And why are all the Gryffindors there?
because they were like, remember I told you how Ginny and Neville and some other morons tried to steal the sword?
Yeah.
And like Neville's been like staging a guerrilla war against Snape and the Hallows.
I'd like to see that. That would be cool.
But it's stupid. Like, I don't know. It's his character arc. He was a sniveling little like idiot, and now he's like a guerrilla fighter,
Yeah.
and he's brave. But I'm like, did he really? Like, I'm not sure I buy that he had that in him. But people just like stuff like, oh, he did it, like whatever. So then they need to hide out because they threatened that they told Neville, like, we can't find you, but we're going to kill your grandma. And then his grandma like beat whoever's at like the ass of whoever came for him. And like, she's on the run. By the way, she appears for the final battle. She's in it. She is
Really?
in the final battle.
I
Anyway,
don't
so
remember
they're
that.
all in
Okay.
there, but Cho Chang is there. Wasn't she a year older than him?
I don't remember.
I don't know. I don't think so.
I don't know if the like world, if the movie universe makes her the same age, but she was a year older, and like that's why she was dating Cedric. I'm pretty sure. And like, I mean, we might as well look it up. Was Cho Chang a year older?
A racist name.
Chang is a name. In the book, she is a year older. Also, in the film adaptation of Harry Potter and the Order of Phoenix, it was mentioned that Cho's mother worked for the Ministry, whereas in the book, it was Mariotta's mother that worked for the Ministry. Okay, so in the book, she is a year older. In the movies, it's like not.
Up for interpretation, I
Dress.
guess.
Anyway,
Yeah.
she's there as a student. She would have
So
graduated.
she got held back, is what we're saying.
And like, I'm looking at like people are asking questions like, why is Cho Chang at Hogwarts in Harry's 7th year if she's a year older? People are like, they got word that she's back, and it's like, yeah, but she's in fucking student clothes. So like, and then she's in it a lot. Like she's actually like in the front in her student clothes. I'm like, that's kind of a fuck up, I think. But Luna comes the same way. Like she hears Harry's back. In the movie, does the Phoenix return? Fox?
No.
Oh, sorry. I'm just reading it's the Order of the Phoenix that returns.
Oh,
so, I'm trying to remember now. Here's what happens. They talk to Luna about the diadem. They get the invisibility cloak on him and Luna, and they go into Ravenclaw Tower because they want to see the statue that has the diadem on it, like a statue version, so that they at least know what they're looking for. When this happens, they get caught by one of the Carrows, and somebody saves them. I think it's McGonagall. I forget who. Maybe it's Luna. I don't know. Somebody like fucks up the Carrow sister, and so that's a whole thing. And like this is where Voldemort is. He's getting the flashes like, oh, Voldemort's at this place now. He's like, he's coming. We got to hurry up. He's going to realize pretty soon that they're all gone, and that the one remaining is over here. In the movie, the Order of the Phoenix shows up pretty much as soon as Harry appears.
Well, no, what happens is they have that fucking assembly, and Snape is like talking really slowly.
Remember that
And-
kid, the kid that got paralyzed in the second movie? He like goes on the radio and starts alerting everyone.
Colin
Yeah.
Creevy, yeah.
Yeah, and so then like when Harry Potter,
by the way, I think was a Muggle born, and would have like had to have hidden because they were like kidnapping those people and sending them to camps or something. I don't know. They were doing something like that.
but
So,
like
yeah.
in the movie, it's just Harry Potter reveals himself, and then the Order of the Phoenix comes through the door. Like when
Yeah.
he's talking about Snape.
So in the assembly, Harry walks in, and Voldemort does that thing where he speaks in everyone's minds, which was a lot scarier in the book. And Pansy Parkinson is like, there he is. Let's just get him right now. Let's just hand him over. And McGonagall is like, thanks. You can be the first to follow Mr. Filch out of the room. But then they kick out the entire Slytherin house.
Yeah, I wanted to bring this up. It's so fucked. They literally are like, arrest all of them right now.
That's in the book too.
Guilty
that
by
should not
association.
that should not even be a class there anymore. Because if you're put in Slytherin, it's just like you're evil, and you're treated like you're evil, whether you are
Yeah,
or are not.
It's awful. There's
Yeah.
really no point. And yeah, that was like, I'm like, whoa, this is crazy.
Honestly, if you get sorted into Slytherin, you might as well just become evil anyway, because at least then you'll have something to do instead
People
of
will
being
like you,
locked
yeah.
up.
They're
Yeah.
gonna treat you like it anyway. So yeah.
You can't be nice. You can't be in Slytherin and be nice. They'll be like, ah, you fucking coward.
Yeah,
So
go to
you-
the dungeon. Like, okay.
Yeah, you have to like burn animals alive or something so the other kids will talk to you. Then this is like the best line maybe in the whole book, and it's not in the movie. So McGonagall like saves them at Ravenclaw Tower or something like that. Then they're like racing to like, okay, we got to set up the fences. Voldemort's coming. Slughorn is there, and he's like, "Oh my God, we got to get the fuck out of here." And she's like, "We're here to defend Hogwarts and these students. It's the time has come for Slytherin to decide who it stands with." This is after she already like kicked them out. But in the book, it's like the kids are being evacuated. In the movie, it's very much like get Slytherin the fuck off this property. Like they're not welcome here. So she tells him like the time has come for Slytherin to decide if they stand with the rest of the houses. Otherwise, we duel to kill. And Slughorn's like, "Minerva." She's like, "You heard me." And I'm like, "Yeah, because you're facing a situation where you're like defending your life. Makes a whole lot of sense to kill the intruders."
Yeah, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to be like, well, we aren't bad guys, but like they're gonna rip our heads off. So
Yeah,
just
we don't
try
want to
stun
stoop to
them.
their level. Like they're
Let's
gonna
kill him
murder
with
children.
kindness.
Yeah, I know. No one was going around being like, well, we don't want to like stoop to the Nazis level and be killing them. It's like, no, you shoot them. Like,
Yeah. And so she says it, and I'm like, "Fuck yeah." But then they're all like still fucking stupefying everybody the rest of the movie. And the book
Well,
too, basically.
and in the movie, it becomes weird because then there's like that fucking scene where Bellatrix is like trying to kill Ginny, and Ginny's mom, like, I don't even know what the
Don't
fuck she
even-
does.
Don't even. That was one of the stupidest things I've ever seen.
Yeah, I didn't understand what was happening. Also, a lot of people are no longer saying spells. It's just like,
It's all nonverbal, yeah.
Yeah, because like I think it fucks with the sound. Like if everybody's yelling stupid shit the whole time, it's not good cinema. But yeah, that was I couldn't believe that wasn't in the book. And I'm like, so everyone talks about how dark it is. Or sorry, it wasn't in the movie. Everyone talks about how dark the movies are, and she doesn't even get to say the line where she's like, "Yeah, we're going to defend these children with our lives and fuck whoever comes in here and whatever." You don't really see like you see Professor Flitwick, you see McGonagall, and like just a couple passing glances of other teachers defending.
Yeah,
the
like
school.
Slughorn and the botany person.
You see who's the crazy bitch? Trelawney. She's like throwing like glass discs at people and shit like off the balconies. Ferenz, who is the other person who like, she was splitting her job and she was mad about that.
The centaur, right?
The centaur, he's fighting. And just like other people too, like they're in there. So the Gray Lady, who is the Ravenclaw ghost.
Mhm.
Nobody knows. In the book, he doesn't really know her. In the movie, he's like, "Hey, Ravenclaw ghost, like, come over here." The reason she tells him is because he's like, "Where is it?" And she's like, "Oh, you think that I'm just gonna like other people have asked for this because it makes you smarter." And he's like, "No, I don't want it for that. I need it to like because I'm trying to stop Voldemort." And she like gets quiet, and he's like, "I'm not the first person or like you've told someone else before," because she told Voldemort. That's not really. I think it is in the movie, but it's
in the movie. He says like, I know Voldemort corrupted, and she's like, I know what he did or who he is.
Well, she mentions it. She says like another asked like a quiet boy, and then they start bringing up that it was him. Like she brings it up.
So who killed her?
I don't know. The movie doesn't tell me.
The Bloody Baron, who's like not even in the movies.
Who the fuck is the Bloody Baron?
He's one of the house ghosts.
Wait a minute, no, we saw him like in the first movie. Remember, he had the sword. He was flying through the air.
Yeah,
Wait, he killed her?
he killed her.
Why is
Yeah.
he still in the fucking castle?
I don't know.
He's
But
killing
He
students?
was like jealous. No, that he was like in love with her or something. And like when they were alive.
Oh, he was also alive.
Yeah, I think. Yeah.
I don't know. That's weird.
It is weird, but it's also weird that like he's not in the movie and that whole thing is not whatever. There's another scene where Hagrid once again proves his worth when the battle has begun and Fang is running around like out of control, and Harry is like trying to get back to the room of requirement, and Hagrid runs off chasing Fang, trying to get him under control, leaving Harry alone.
The classic.
The guy is an absolute worthless fuck.
Yeah.
Incompetent on every level. Remember when they were trying to tell him like, hey, Umbridge is gonna like actually review your teaching skills. You should maybe make a lesson plan. And he's like, don't worry about it. Gets fired. Percy returns. He's like,
Yeah, I
heard
saw him in the movie for a second.
He's like, I heard you were there, or the battle was starting, and I realized like that fuck them and blah blah blah. We'll get to that, but yeah, he's there. In the movie, Harry can hear the Horcruxes.
He can like sense them. Yeah.
He can actually hear them, like they're making noise. That is not in the book, and I actually think that that's an improvement. Because like it's kind of,
how do you find it just if you know it's around? Like,
you have to know what you're looking for, and you have to know for a fact that it's a Horcrux, but you don't know that until you destroy it. And they're like kind of getting, okay, they got the locket, they got the goblet, whatever.
Plus, no one's found that thing for like what they said, like hundreds of years. So it'd be impossible if you couldn't hear it.
Yeah. So I actually think that makes way more sense. Neville is like kicking ass or whatever. Let me see if I have this coming up later. Okay. Yeah. So Neville is just like a good fighter. In the movie, he kisses Ginny. In the book, he almost gets like no moments with her. Like he keeps seeing her, but he's under the
you
invisibility.
mean Luna or Harry?
Ginny. Harry
Oh,
kisses
okay.
Ginny in the
Yeah.
movie. In the book, he has to keep bypassing her because he has to like go do things. I'm like, I don't get why. And then there's also this whole thing about Ginny, you're too young. Like, go stay here, go stay there. And she keeps like trying to get out because I feel like J.K. Rowling was feeling criticism of like kids reading it and like, she's a child going into battle, although she's 15 at this point, I think, or 16 maybe. And she's like going into battle, but she's underage. So they keep like saying, don't do it. But she's in the battle. Stupid shit. That's the kind of shit that's like, a don't read the comments moment where it's like, Ginny would have been fine. So they go get the diadem and Malfoy ambushes them. Did you notice that they're missing Crabbe?
Yeah, because he got arrested in the
He
real
got
world.
arrested.
Yeah.
He was an actual Slytherin in the real world.
Yeah.
Didn't he get arrested for like growing weed or something in his parents' house?
I thought it was violent. So that part's pretty accurate, except that Crabbe's not there. Crabbe sets the place on fire, not Goyle, and Crabbe burns to death in there. They save Malfoy and Goyle. And after this, Malfoy is basically like not in it anymore. He just disappears.
Yeah.
From the battle. I think he's like kind of like scarred for life or something. Then after they save that, I believe Ron says something like, "We forgot the house elves. We got to go save them." And Hermione like kisses him. That's where they kiss. In the book, that's in the book. In the movie, they go down to the chamber and they get the basilisk thing. That's not in the book. They do it, but you don't see it. They're like missing for a while. And then Harry runs back into them and they're like, "Oh, we got the fang and we were able to destroy the goblet. Like, we're good." And I'm like, that's a sign that you maybe have too many Horcruxes in this story, that you just destroyed one like off screen.
Yeah.
And
the movie shows it.
And it doesn't even matter. Like who cares? Like, okay, that's one more, but you still have to do the diadem.
Yeah, in the real world, they would be like, "How many did we fucking destroy?" They're like counting in the middle of the battle.
Yeah. So they got the kiss, and I gotta say, like, no chemistry. Ron and Hermione, nothing there. There's nothing there. So their Death Eaters are trying to come in through like a broken hole in the wall or something, and Percy and Fred and Harry, they're like shooting out of it, and Percy's like, "Did I mention because the minister comes in." The new minister, not Scrimey, but the evil one. And Percy stupefies him or some stupid shit like that instead of killing him. He's like, "Did I mention I'm resigning?" And then they all get exploded. And Fred dies. And they have to like drag his body under fire. Like Harry doesn't even know what the fuck happened. He dies off screen in the movie.
Yeah.
Why would you even show a battle and not show like one of the biggest deaths? because like really no one important dies. None of the main characters die. You got Lupin, Tonks, and Fred. And you don't even show any of their deaths.
Yeah.
And they say these movies are dark. Anyway.
Well, here's something kind of interesting that I looked up after I finished watching the movie. I looked up who actually killed Lupin and Tonks, and it said that Lupin got killed by Dolohov, that guy that
and Bellatrix killed Tonks.
yeah, and so if they had killed Dolohov in that cafe, then maybe Lupin wouldn't have died.
That's a good point. It's really stupid. There are spiders, Aragog's like relatives or whatever. They are in the battle. There's also a lot of giants. I was actually surprised to see the giants in the movie. I thought that they would have cheaped out on those.
They showed them getting fucked up. Like the statues were like stabbing them very violently on the bridge. You see that?
Yeah. So here's where we can actually start talking about like real story. So they cut out when you cut out Fred and George, to me that's like 80% of the battle.
Mhm.
Because Fred dying is the biggest character who dies. And you fucking cut that out. And like then there's a lot more of the battle happening, like as Harry's moving around the corridors. That's when you see Trelawney throwing shit and McGonagall's like, get him over there, blah, blah, blah. I don't think J.K. Rowling knows how to write a good battle scene.
No, 100%.
Because most of this is Harry like running through the battle. He doesn't do much fighting himself. And it's not like a decision that he makes. He has to do these fucking Horcrux shit. And in my mind, I'm like, okay, if I was writing it, let's settle all that Horcrux stuff except maybe for like Nagini. So, and let's have a scene where Harry is like actually fighting amongst the order, like among the people. And it's like, you've seen movies where, what do they call them? Like siege battles. They're under siege. Like then the night turns to day and like they've been there for a while. People are hurt. They have to like start like breaking off sections of the castle because they can't defend the whole place. No, it's just like people like shooting spells and Harry like running through. That's honestly most of it. And then he leaves. He actually leaves the battle a couple times. One is to go to the Shrieking Shack where Snape and Voldemort are meeting.
Oh, in this one, they're meeting in the dock.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it almost doesn't even matter. But the point is like he left the battle.
Which is stupid, but yeah.
So Snape dies.
Yeah, okay. I have a very big thing to say about this in the movie, and maybe you can clarify. The like redemption arc for him does not really seem like a redemption arc in the movie. In the movie, it's like, okay, he was a Death Eater, then he felt bad because he was simping over Harry's mom, so he like changes teams. Then he was like kind of helping Harry under Dumbledore's orders, and Dumbledore orders him to kill himself. But like, what was the end goal? Just so he tells Harry that he's a Horcrux? Was that the only reason he was around? I thought like maybe
this is a big flaw, I think, in that Dumbledore's plan. There's two major parts of this plan that are like absolute bullshit. One, that once the Horcruxes are destroyed, that Snape would then somehow be able to impart to Harry that he needs to die. And then Dumbledore relies on Harry to go do just that, just so that he could then be like, by the way, you're the 8th Horcrux. Now get back in there, boy. And it's like, that's a lot of like Dumbledore had a plan. Like it's you're stretching that.
The movie did not make Snape's plan all that great. Like for some reason, I remembered it being like, oh, Snape was going to kill, like he was going to destroy a Horcrux or he's going to do something that like fundamentally weakens Voldemort. But all he does is just like stay loyal until he gets betrayed. And then he tells Harry that piece of information. Like when was he going to...
I did like when he dies.
Yeah, it's nice when he dies. But what was the goal there? What if he hadn't been attacked by the snake? What was he going to do? Was he going to like ever do anything?
I think he was. So this is in the book, and I understand like some of the. It's not as big of a deal to me, but it's because I read the book. Dumbledore's plan. Dumbledore told him, first of all, the Elder Wand. So Voldemort has it, and he thinks that the reason it's not working is because he's not the true master. I forget. Does the movie show that it's like not working? Is
Yeah,
that a
it like
thing?
shows that it's like cracking and he's like it like kind of betrays him on his hand. He has to like rip it back or something.
So he believes that it's not working because Snape is the one who took it from
Yeah.
Dumbledore, and so he has to kill Snape. I like that. That's cool. It seems like Dumbledore warned Snape through the memories. Let me see if I wrote that. He says there will come a time where Voldemort will fear for the snake's safety, and he will begin to protect him with enchantments. At this point, you need to tell Harry. So that's what Voldemort has put Nagini in like enchantments, like protection. I forget in the movie, is there stuff around her?
Well, they like
No.
hit her. They cast spells on her and it like rebounds off. They like hit her with
He
a fire
puts her
spell
in
and
like a
it bounces off.
cage, like an
Oh.
enchanted cage, and it like floats in the book.
Mm.
Um,
It's like a bubble, right, or something.
yeah, and it goes like it's like with him at all times. So Snape sees that and he's trying to let Voldemort go find Harry because he knows that he needs to tell Harry, like, this is the time. We have one more to go, and then you need to like let him kill you, basically. And then I assume Snape was going to kill Voldemort, is my guess.
Okay.
So anyway, when Snape dies, he gives the memories, like it comes out through his eyes and his nose and his ears and like all the memories, and they conjure a flask and they put it in. And this one, it's his tears.
Mhm.
But I don't know if you're watching the movie, are you supposed to understand that those are his memories?
I mean, once he puts it in the pensieve,
Then
but
you're like,
before
oh,
then, I was like, "What the fuck is happening?"
yeah. So like that doesn't make much sense in the movie, but because like you see him pulling out their memories. It doesn't look like
Yeah.
tears. Like
It's like wisps of like white
so
light.
yeah.
Like
So anyway.
Fred's almost.
So he has memories of him and what's her name when they're young, and Lily, and he's like explaining magic to her and whatever. They get their letters, and he's telling her about Hogwarts. They're on the train together. They get to the sorting, and she gets put in the Gryffindor, and Snape is like shocked. They're like best friends. She's the only other magic person that he knows. I mean, he's the only magic person that she knows. So they even meet like young Sirius and James on the train. And yeah, then they he like he's like, stay away from James Potter. I know he likes you. And she's like, I think he's a douchebag, whatever. But I don't understand why you hang out with those other weirdos. They're like dark and they do dark magic and they say weird things. And like, why are you friends with those people? And like, he's clearly attracted to that side of it. He calls her a mudblood, which we see in the memory. And then we see the aftermath of that where he begs her for forgiveness. And she's like, no, like, we're not friends anymore. Like, I can't trust you. You've changed a lot. And J.K. Rowling said that she thinks that if he hadn't been lured to the dark magic, that she might have fallen in love with him. It's kind of hard to, like, when I see Alan Rickman, I'm like, I don't really see it. But nothing against Alan Rickman. I just, like, it doesn't seem like her personality would match with him. But he's super dark, which makes sense that he would be in dark magic. So, like, what version of Snape wouldn't be like that?
Yeah.
Can't picture it. Then he goes and begs for Dumbledore's help, and Dumbledore's like, "What the fuck you want me to do? Like, why don't you go talk to your master?" He's like, "He wants to kill her." He's like, "Yeah, that's the fucking game you play, douchebag." Like, that's kind of how Dumbledore's talking to him. It's pretty good. So he promises to protect, and it doesn't happen. Obviously, he's like, I don't know that he promised. He tells him like, go to Voldemort and beg him to spare her, but he doesn't. And he tells Snape like, there's more pure blood bitches out there. Don't worry, plenty of fish in the sea. And Snape's like, yeah, okay, you're right. But then he goes back and he's like crying to Dumbledore like, how could this happen? blah blah blah. And that's when Dumbledore's like, now we have to protect the son. Like this is the most important thing. I think even in the book or the movie, I don't remember, when he's begging Dumbledore to save her, he's like, you don't even care about the innocent life of her husband and the child. And Snape's like, fine, save them too. Like, and anyway, it doesn't happen. So then they have all these protections and like all these plans, and it goes through. Dumbledore put on the ring because he was tempted by the resurrection stone that was in it. And the curse blackened his hand. That's not in the movie, right?
No.
They sort of
They
touch
say
on it.
there's a curse and he has to get a potion to contain it, but it doesn't say how that came to be.
The resurrection stone that's in the snitch came from the ring, the gaunt ring from those scenes that were never in the movie. It's like, how the fuck are you supposed to make any sense of that?
Yeah, I was just like, okay.
So he tells him, I got a year to live. You're going to be the one to kill me so that you stay in Voldemort's favor and then help Harry and blah, blah, blah. So he was the Silver Doe. He has the same Patronus as Lily, I think. What do you guys think about Alan Rickman's de-aging?
I didn't really notice it that much.
I think they did a pretty good job.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, at a few points I was like, wait, what the fuck? And then I was like, oh, okay, it's fine.
He looks thinner because he started to put on some weight like in the last two movies, and they somehow did a good job of making him look thinner. And then when you see that flashback of him from the first movie, he looks a lot different, like a lot more youthful.
Yeah.
So then there's this great sequence in the book where Harry is just like, this is it. This is my destiny. I'm supposed to die. Like there's no way out. And he starts like appreciating everything that he sees in Hogwarts. Like he's like every breath, and like, I wasted so much time. I could have done more. I wish I did this. It's a great, great thing that, great sequence. That's not, they sort of touch on it, but they don't have time to even give it like what it deserves. It's one of the best parts of the book, I think. You see Oliver Wood, who is like the former Quidditch captain, who you don't even see because I'm pretty sure like they just didn't have Quidditch scenes in the movie that he's like the biggest part of. It wasn't Goblet of Fire because they canceled Quidditch. It must have been Order of the Phoenix, and then the girl was in the Half-Blood Prince, but they like cut her out of it. So Oliver Wood was the guy. They're carrying the dead, and this is when he sees the body and of like Tonks and Lupin, and they're like, he sees them fighting. Tonks shows up and she's like looking for Lupin for a majority of the battle. Like he sees them around, and then he sees them dead when he returns. In the movie, like they're just there. And Tonks she's barely even in the movies. You get like one line that tells you they had a kid or something. Lupin says like it's a boy and blah blah blah, and like, but that's not in the movie. So like that was just butchered. That was worthless. Oliver Wood is carrying Colin Creevy's body. So Harry has a very lonely walk as he's in with the invisibility cloak, like watching all this, and because he doesn't want to like say anything to anybody because he knows that they'll stop him from going to give himself up. But then he runs into Neville, and he's like, Neville, listen, do me one solid favor. He's like, what? He's like, cut the head off that snake, okay? And he gives him, no, he doesn't give him the sword. No, because he doesn't have the sword. So he basically is like, yeah, you just make sure you kill that snake. And he's like, really, me? And he's like, yeah. He's like, where are you going, Harry? And he's like, never mind. And he just leaves. So then he gets into the garden, and he's going to go into the Forbidden Forest to give himself up, and he pulls out the stone. And I don't love this sequence. Like, they're all, like, even Lupin is there, like, they're talking to him. It's like they're dead. Like, it's weird. But I could see why in the story, the person who brings back his dead wife, and she's dead like that, like, she's not really back. So it would make sense for him to just be like, well, I'll just fucking die too. Then we might as well just go together. Like, I can see why someone would do that. So he does that, and they walk together, and they're like, we're so proud of you. And they seem to be under the impression that he must die, like he's gonna die. And I don't know that if they're aware of Dumbledore's plans, because Dumbledore's also dead. And why doesn't Harry bring back Dumbledore? No idea. Maybe they know, and they're just like, yeah, don't worry about it. Take it right in the face, and you're gonna be fine.
The first thing Dumbledore did when he died was go and tell all the other ghosts his plan.
What if Harry's dad is like, you son of a bitch, I know what you've been doing this whole time.
he's Dumbledore's like very clearly avoiding the family. And they're like, have you seen fucking Dumbledore? And they're like, no. Like, Sirius is like, no, why are you looking for Dumbledore? He's like, we need to find this motherfucker.
Yeah, it becomes like Michael Jackson Trial of the Year, like, except they're all just ghosts. Like,
and they're like trying to figure out where he is, and he's like dodging and weaving.
Yeah.
He's like, he keeps coming back to the real world to sort of avoid them.
So Harry goes up to Voldemort's camp. Voldemort's like, shit, I thought he would show up. This is disappointing. Because he's preying on the fact that Harry wouldn't let people die for him. And knowing that they've killed several people, he's like, yeah, for sure he's going to show up. And then he's like, well, I guess that's that. We better go kill them all. And Harry's like, I'm right here, bitch. And then Hagrid's like, Harry, no, don't do it. And Voldemort's like, Harry Potter. And he just kills him. And this is probably where I think the movie and the book, I have more appreciation for it this time around, having understood the extremely complicated circumstances that Harry has to win. So, like, I understand what she was going for, and I think that she actually did a decent job of doing what she was going for. But I think this scene of exposition is arguably one of the worst scenes in the whole movie series. It's even longer in the book.
Oh God.
Where he explains
what was happening.
More about Ariana and like Grindelwald and his feelings. And ultimately all you need to know is Harry is the 8th Horcrux. And I think, I don't know how I feel about that. Because you have to go back to the beginning where Dumbledore or Voldemort does the curse and it rebounds. That's what they tell us. When it rebounds, somehow his soul gets imparted on Harry.
Yeah, wouldn't that mean that anytime you kill anyone around anyone else, you could just make a Horcrux accidentally?
Yeah.
So, in fact, shouldn't there be a fuck ton of Horcruxes from the Battle of the Castle?
Well, it's like if you do something terrible like commit murder, and he's murdered all kinds of people. And so he would have like 1 million Horcruxes. Like, he's killed a lot of people. And they were all like murders in cold blood. And I understand that doing something as horrible as like murdering a baby is like a little bit worse than that. And like the mother's love is like countered that somehow. It's like, all right, whatever. So the way it all works is her love shielded Harry. And Harry's love, by sacrificing himself, shields the people in Hogwarts.
What?
Because he died for them.
But he didn't die.
He does die. But Voldemort killed the part of himself first. So Harry is not dead. But he did die. Like a soul died in him. But it was Voldemort's.
Okay.
And so at that moment, Harry can't speak Parseltongue anymore. Like, all that Voldemort shit is gone. No more visions. Like, all that's over with. So if you recall, and it's not done well in the movie, but like a lot of the stuff that the Death Eaters do from that point on in the battle is ineffective. Like, they're not really getting people anymore. And it's because there's a protection charm around them.
Okay, that didn't come across at all.
No, it doesn't, because if the peril's gone, then it doesn't make much sense. So, whatever. So Dumbledore basically explains that to him, and Harry has to play dead. Hagrid carries him back, and the centaurs like watch them depart the forest. And Hagrid's like, "You happy, you motherfuckers? You didn't come fight, and now look, Harry's dead." And Harry's like pretending to be dead. I mean, it's not great. It's just not cinematic. And I know that it's a book, but it should still be cinematic, I think.
Right.
So they get to the part where Voldemort's like, "All right, come here, Harry Potter's dead." And that's decent. In the movie, I don't think it's as powerful, but people are like, "Oh my God," they're like crying out loud and sobbing. And like they basically have surrendered at that point. They think Harry Potter is dead. Voldemort does one of the dumbest things ever. And I forget how it happens in the movie. I think Neville just finds the hat, doesn't he?
Yeah, he finds the hat and he takes the sword out of it.
Like, okay, that's better. In the book, Voldemort is like, there's not going to be any more sorting around here. So he pulls the hat from Dumbledore's office, like from the ground. He pulls it and puts it on Neville's head, sets it on fire, and forces Neville to sit there on his knees as he's like burning alive. And that causes McGonagall and I think maybe some other people to be like, "Stop," and they start fighting. And then Harry, who's been laid on the ground and is on first name basis with Voldemort, because Voldemort's like, "Hagrid, put him down right there." Harry throws the cloak over himself, and he's about to make like like secret moves, like no one realizes in the chaos, except there's one giant idiot going like, "Where did Harry go? Harry, where's Harry?" Fucking Hagrid is shouting, "Harry's gone," like alerting everyone to the fact that Harry is trying to make a quiet escape. The guy is an absolute fucking moron on every level. He should have been killed years ago. He should have been executed in Azkaban the moment he went there. This guy is worthless. Fucking awful. Anyway,
Wow.
so Voldemort has seen Harry pull the sword out of the hat in the second book. And so he gives the hat to Neville, who then, after Voldemort's like defending himself or fighting or whatever, pulls the sword out of the hat and cuts off Nagini's head. And it's like, "Voldemort, that was the one thing that couldn't happen. And you fucking gave him the sword."
In the movie, he picks up the hat and he sees the sword, and then he draws it like when the battle begins.
Yeah. Also, Harry doesn't tell him to kill the snake. And also he gets blown away first. And like that was supposed to be the moment where he would have done it right when the battle starts, but he gets blown away and then the battle happens. And then in the midst of the battle, he like gets the sword and kills the snake.
Yeah.
I don't know why they changed it, but
Do you guys notice that Ron tried to use the killing curse on the snake?
no, I didn't.
It's nonverbal, but it's very obvious that it's the killing curse.
And see, Ron can't do that because Ron sucks. So how does he still do a nonverbal curse? One thing. So like the whole like Narcissa Malfoy hiding because she wants to get in for Draco, that is how it was. So once again, if I recall, I think Harry has the invisibility cloak on, and the battle has moved into like the indoors, and Harry is still not a part of it. And McGonagall, Flitwick, and I think someone else are dueling Bellatrix. No, they're dueling Voldemort. All three of them. It's just not in the movie. It's just not in the movie. Ginny, Luna, and Hermione are dueling Bellatrix, but she's kicking their asses. Also not in the movie. But there is like a slight skirmish where she almost kills Ginny. And then Mrs. Weasley is like, "Not my daughter, you bitch." And like that is in the book. And so then they duel, and Weasley, she is more competent in the book than appears. And I had to always assume like they had to be like gifted in some way because they don't seem like soldiers. Like I wouldn't call on them in a fight. Like Mr. Weasley in the book, he's like leading one charge like on the grounds or something. I'm like, you picked him? That dude is like old and anyway. So So she beats Bellatrix, but what she does is she like laughs and taunts her the way that Sirius laughed and taunted her, Bellatrix, and they die like the same way. Like they get hit with the spell, and Voldemort like yells out when she dies. My thing is like at this point, Voldemort must know the Horcruxes are gone.
Yeah, you'd think so. In the movie, it seems like he does because he feels something, and he's like is afraid.
Yeah, that's the other thing. He feels the Horcruxes getting destroyed in the movie. In the book, he does not.
Interesting.
But also when Nagini is killed, he doesn't really react. So it's
He does. He has like when they're dueling in the courtyard, they're wand locked or whatever it was. They like stop for a minute and then they restart, and that's when Harry beats him.
But does Voldemort?
Yeah, when the snake dies in the movie, at least he goes like, and he looks,
okay.
and he's like he looks around a little and like.
So the Malfoys are fleeing the battle, and you see that in the movie. What I don't actually in the book, I think they stay. What I don't understand is what are they fleeing from?
I took it in the movie as like at least Narcissa and Draco are like, we're the fucking done with this. This is fucking stupid. Like,
okay, but if Voldemort wins, they're dead.
Yeah.
So they should try to kill Voldemort.
That would have made more sense. It would also make more sense why they get accepted later. Instead, this is the equivalent of 3 Nazis who were like involved in the death camps, seeing they're losing, running to Argentina, and then being invited back later. And it's like, hey, we're all friends now.
No, you're telling me no one's gonna say like, hey, Draco, he still has the dark mark on his wrist, right? Like,
I guess it fades eventually. Yeah. It says that in the book, like it'll fade over time. So then Harry like finally reveals himself in the book. It's indoors in the Great Hall, and it's a duel 1-on-1, and everyone else like has basically died, and Harry's like, nobody else joined. It's got to be me. It's me versus him. This is the way it has to be. And they're like circling each other, and Harry does a lot of exposition, to be honest, but I didn't mind it. He says. He's like, you thought Snape was the one who had control of the Elder Wand, but it was really Draco Malfoy who disarmed Dumbledore. And I disarmed Draco Malfoy, so I'm the rightful owner of the Elder Wand. That's not in the movie.
I think he says that.
They sort of say something, like he mentions it when they're like about to fall off that building. He mentions something about Snape. Like, what if Snape was?
Yeah, as they're about to fall off the building, he's like, you don't see it, do you? You don't understand. What if Snape wasn't the one who like took the Elder Wand from Dumbledore? And then he's like, let's end this how we started it. And he jumps off a bridge with him.
Yeah, that part's none of that's in the.
Yeah, I figured that out.
I mean, they're trying to make it more cinematic, but so basically what happens is they both throw curses out, but Voldemort's rebounds and kills him.
Yeah, that's what I took it as too, because he throws it and there's like this aura of green coming back towards him and it washes over him and he stops.
Why did it rebound?
I don't know, but I took it as like he's not stronger than Harry and the wand belongs to Harry. So the curse rebounds and then he just dissolves into fucking.
Harry does the disarming
charm,
dies. The disarming spell. Yeah, and he like catches he disarms him. And I don't know. I mean, I could.
And then Voldemort literally like gets Thanos. He gets snapped.
Yeah, he turns to ash.
Let me see right here. The flaw in the plan. Yeah, that must be it. Let me see if
I have a question before you find the answer. So, he says that he disarmed Draco Malfoy in the manor. At least in the movie, he like forcibly takes the wand from him. Like he grabs it with his hand. He doesn't do any magic. Does that count as disarming someone, or do you have to use magic to do it?
It's like you have to like dominate the person so that the wand understands that it's an allegiance.
Okay.
Do you guys want me to read that part where they duel?
You can if you want.
Sure, if you want.
It's a lot here. You will never touch our children again, screamed Mrs. Weasley. Bellatrix laughed, the same exhilarated laugh her cousin Sirius had given as he toppled backward through the veil. And suddenly Harry knew what was going to happen before it did. Molly's curse soared beneath Bellatrix's outstretched arm and hit her squarely in the chest, directly over her heart. Bellatrix's gloating smile froze. Her eyes seemed to bulge. For the tiniest space of time, she knew what had happened, and then she toppled, and the watching crowd roared and Voldemort screamed. Harry felt as though he turned in slow motion. He saw McGonagall, Kingsley, and Slughorn blasted backward, flailing and writhing through the air as Voldemort's fury at the fall of his last, best lieutenant exploded with the force of a bomb. Voldemort raised his wand and directed it at Molly Weasley. Protego, roared Harry, and the shield charm expanded in the middle of the hall, and Voldemort stared around for the source as Harry pulled off the invisibility cloak at last. The yell of shock, the cheers, the screams on every side of Harry, he's alive, were stifled at once. The crowd was afraid, and silence fell abruptly and completely as Voldemort and Harry looked at each other and began at the same moment to circle each other. I don't want anyone else to try to help, Harry said loudly, and in the silence his voice carried like a trumpet call. It's got to be like this. It's got to be me. Voldemort hissed. Wait, I lost my place. Okay. Potter doesn't mean that. Sorry, I'm just trying to split my screen. Potter doesn't mean that, he said, his eyes wide. That isn't how he works, is it? Who are you going to use as a shield today, Potter? Nobody, said Harry simply. There are no more Horcruxes. It's just you and me. Neither can live while the other survives, and one of us is about to leave for good. One of us, jeered Voldemort, and his whole body was taut and his red eyes stared. A snake that was about to strike. You think it will be you, do you? The boy who has survived by accident and because Dumbledore was pulling the strings? Accident, was it, when my mother died to save me? Asked Harry. They were still moving sideways, both of them in that perfect circle, maintaining the same distance from each other, and for Harry, no face existed but Voldemort's. Accident when I decided to fight in that graveyard. Accident that I didn't defend myself tonight and still survived and returned to fight again. Accident, screamed Voldemort, but still he did not strike, and the watching crowd was frozen as if petrified. And of the hundreds in the hall, nobody seemed to breathe but they two. Accident and chance and the fact that you crouched and sniveled behind the skirts of greater men and women and permitted me to kill them for you. You won't be killing anyone else tonight, said Harry as they circled and stared into each other's eyes, green into red. You won't be able to kill any of them ever again. Don't you get it? I was ready to die to stop you from hurting these people. But you did not. I meant to, and that's what did it. I've done what my mother did. They're protected from you. Haven't you noticed how none of the spells you put on them are binding? You can't torture them. You can't touch them. You don't learn from your mistakes, Riddle, do you? So in the book, when he shows them Harry's body, they're all like sobbing. He silences them multiple times. They keep being able to like overcome it. That's not in the movie, I don't think.
No.
You dare? Yes, I dare, said Harry. I know things you don't know, Tom Riddle. I know lots of important things that you don't. Want to hear some before you make another big mistake? Voldemort did not speak, but prowled in a circle, and Harry knew that he kept him temporarily mesmerized and at bay, held back by the faintest possibility that Harry might indeed know a final secret. Is it love again? Said Voldemort, his snake's face jeering. Dumbledore's favorite solution, love, which he claimed conquered death, though love did not stop him falling from the tower and breaking like an old waxwork. Love, which did not prevent me stamping out your mud-blood mother like a cockroach, Potter. And nobody seems to love you enough to run forward this time and take my curse. So what will stop you dying now when I strike? Just one thing, said Harry, and they still circled each other, wrapped in each other, held apart by nothing but the last secret. If it is not love that will save you this time, said Voldemort, you must believe that you have magic that I do not, or else a weapon more powerful than mine. I believe both, said Harry, and he saw shock flit across the snake-like face, though it was instantly dispelled. Voldemort began to laugh, and the sound was more frightening than his screams. Humorless and insane, it echoed around the silent hall. You think you know more magic than I do, he said. Than Lord Voldemort, who has performed magic that Dumbledore himself never dreamed of? Oh, he dreamed of it, said Harry, but he knew more than you, knew enough not to do what you've done. You mean he was weak, screamed Voldemort. Too weak to dare, too weak to take what might have been his, what will be mine. No, he was cleverer than you, said Harry. A better wizard, a better man. I brought about the death of Albus Dumbledore. You thought you did, said Harry, but you were wrong. For the first time, the watching crowd stirred as the hundreds of people around the walls drew breath as one. Dumbledore is dead, Voldemort hurled the words at Harry, as though they would cause him unendurable pain. His body decays in the marble tomb in the grounds of this castle. I have seen it, Potter, and he will not return. Yes, Dumbledore is dead, said Harry calmly, but you didn't have him killed. He chose his own manner of dying, chose it months before he died, arranged the whole thing with the man you thought was your servant. What childish dream is this, said Voldemort, but he did not strike, and his red eyes did not waver from Harry's. Severus Snape wasn't yours, said Harry. Snape was Dumbledore's. Dumbledore's from the moment you started hunting down my mother, and you never realized it because of the thing you can't understand. You never saw Snape cast the Patronus, did you, Riddle? Voldemort did not answer. They continued to circle each other like wolves, about to tear each other apart. Snape's Patronus was a doe, said Harry, the same as my mother's, because he loved her for nearly all of his life, from the time when they were children. You should have realized, he said as he saw Voldemort's nostrils flare. He asked you to spare her life, didn't he? He desired her, that was all, sneered Voldemort. But when she had gone, he had agreed that there were other women, and of purer blood worthier of him. Of course he told you that, said Harry, but he was Dumbledore's spy from the moment you threatened her. And he's been working against you ever since. Dumbledore was already dying when Snape finished him. It matters not, shrieked Voldemort, who had followed every word with rapt attention, but now let out a cackle of mad laughter. It matters not whether Snape was mine or Dumbledore's, or what petty obstacles they tried to put in my path. I crushed them as I crushed your mother. Snape's supposed great love. Oh, but it all makes sense, Potter, and in ways that you do not understand. Dumbledore was trying to keep the Elder Wand from me. He intended that Snape should be the true master of the wand, but I got there ahead of you, little boy. I reached the wand before you could get your hands on it. I understood the truth before you caught up. I killed Severus Snape 3 hours ago, and the Elder Wand and the Death Stick and the Wand of Destiny is truly mine. Dumbledore's last plan went wrong, Harry Potter. Yeah, it did, said Harry, but you're right. But before you try to kill me, I'd advise you to think about what you've done. Think and try for some remorse, Riddle. What is this? Of all the things Harry had said to him, beyond any revelation or taunt, nothing had shocked Voldemort like this. Harry saw his pupils contract to thin slits, saw the skin around his eyes whiten. It's your one last chance, said Harry. It's all you've got left. I've seen what you'll be otherwise. Be a man. Try for some remorse. By the way, what was that baby thing?
That was his soul, or the portion of it that died.
That's the portion that died. Okay.
That's the version that lived inside Harry's soul.
Because that quote makes it sound like he's going to become a baby. Yeah. If he tries to kill Harry. You dare, said Voldemort again. Yes, I dare, because Dumbledore's last plan hasn't backfired on me at all. It's backfired on you, Riddle. Voldemort's hand was trembling on the Elder Wand, and Harry gripped Draco's very tightly. The moment, he knew, was seconds away. The wand still wasn't working properly for you because you murdered the wrong person. Severus Snape was never the true master of the Elder Wand. He never defeated Dumbledore. He killed... Aren't you listening? Snape never beat Dumbledore. Dumbledore's death was planned between them. Dumbledore intended to die undefeated, the wand's last true master. If all had gone as planned, the wand's power would have died with him, because it had never been won from him. But then, Potter, Dumbledore as good as gave me the wand. Voldemort's voice shook with malicious pleasure. I stole the wand from its last master's tomb. I removed it against its last master's wishes. Its power is mine. You still don't get it, Riddle, do you? Possessing the wand isn't enough. Holding it, using it, doesn't make it really yours. Didn't you listen to Ollivander? The wand chooses the wizard. The Elder Wand recognized a new master before Dumbledore died, someone who never even laid a hand on it. The new master removed the wand from Dumbledore against his will, never realizing exactly what he had done, or that the world's most dangerous wand had given him its allegiance. Voldemort's chest rose and fell rapidly, and Harry could feel the curse coming, feel it building inside the wand pointed at his face. The true master of the Elder Wand was Draco Malfoy. Blank shock showed in Voldemort's face for a moment, but then it was gone. But what does it matter, Potter? He said softly. Even if you are right, it makes no difference to you and me. You no longer have the Phoenix Wand. We duel on skill alone. And after I have killed you, I can attend to Draco Malfoy. But you're too late, said Harry. You've missed your chance. I got there first. I overpowered Draco weeks ago. I took this wand from him. Harry twitched the Hawthorn wand and felt the eyes of everyone in the hall upon it. So it all comes down to this, doesn't it? Whispered Harry. Does the wand in your hand know its last master was disarmed? Because if it does, I am the true master of the Elder Wand. A red glow burst suddenly across the enchanted sky above them as an edge of dazzling sun appeared over the sill of the nearest window. The light hit both of their faces at the same time, so that Voldemort's was suddenly a flaming blur. Harry heard the high voice shriek as he too yelled his best hope to the heavens, pointing Draco's wand. Avada Kedavra, Expelliarmus. How do you say that?
Expelliarmus, I think.
Expelliarmus is how it's spelled. Expelliarmus. Yeah.
Dude, they've been talking for a long fucking time.
Yeah.
The bang was like a cannon blast, and the golden flames that erupted between them at the dead center of the circle they had been treading marked the point where the spells collided. Harry saw Voldemort's green jet meet his own spell, saw the Elder Wand fly high, dark against the sunrise, spinning across the enchanted ceiling like the head of Nagini, spinning through the air toward the master it would not kill, who had come to take full possession of it at last. And Harry, with the unerring skill of the seeker, caught the wand in his free hand as Voldemort fell backward, arms splayed, the slit of his pupils of the scarlet eyes rolling upward. Tom Riddle hit the floor with a mundane finality, his body feeble and shrunken, and the white hands empty, the snake-like face vacant and unknowing. Voldemort was dead, killed by his own rebounding curse, and Harry stood with two wands in his hand, staring down at his enemy's shell. So it's because Harry was the master of the wand that the spell
I
rebounded.
guess they circled for so long, every possible, like, they're still circling, they're moving together, they're circling.
Imagine like everyone watching that's like, are they gonna fight anytime soon?
So the thing is, that whole thing where he dies and then the people are protected, did that really need to happen?
No, I think the movie was okay with it like not working, and like that's not mentioned because
And just the wand thing.
yeah, and also the fact that Harry's still alive is enough to be like, wait, something's wrong here. Like,
But my thing is, I just don't know. Like, I like the idea of Harry dying,
yeah, I know you love it when characters die.
but how would that work? If so the prophecy was like that the Horcrux is him, right? Isn't that what he tells him? The
Mhm.
Horcrux is you. Therefore, if Voldemort kills you, he will also kill himself. So then you have to die. The only issue with that is like, there's no point in Harry fighting him.
Yeah, he just has to suicide.
You want to have a battle, and that's the problem. But you could do where Harry doesn't know and does die fighting him, and the battle is somehow won. And then, he meets him.
It gets revealed.
He meets Dumbledore as a ghost. And because that scene's already in it, where like he reunites with like his family or whatever, and Dumbledore explains to him what happened.
Yeah, potentially. I mean, it's just weird. Like, it's gonna be odd. She did not want him dead at the end of the book, for sure.
No, she didn't.
Yeah.
And I know that she didn't. But before we talk about that, in the book, he says that he's going to put the Elder Wand, back where it belongs. Where does it belong?
Dumbledore's grave.
Dumbledore's
right?
Gonna
crypt,
dig him
yeah.
up again? Fucking serious? Also, why would you do that? Everybody just heard about how he stole it from there, and like that, any dark wizard would be like, I'm going to check there first. Wouldn't you?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I guess him destroying it makes more sense, but it's
But
also
did he
weird.
destroy it in the movie, or did he just?
He
throw
destroyed it
into
in the
water?
movie.
He ripped it in half and
Okay,
destroyed it.
that is better. Yeah, that is better. Okay, so I've started to do some research now that I won't be spoiled. And how did she come up with some of this stuff? Are you guys aware of it at all?
No.
Of
I'm
what? Like what specifically?
Like how the overall story of how she came to think of Harry Potter and that whole thing.
I think I know a few things, not all of it.
So she was on a train and she's like, I love trains, and like the idea of going somewhere, it just kind of hit her. And like, oh, a child going to school, like in a magical world or something like that. And so she didn't have anything to write with. She said by the time she had got off the train, she had like an outline for 7 books. And she, she wasn't like an accomplished author before that. She just had like, it was like lightning struck. But having moved forward, like I watched a documentary from 2001 with her or something like that. And up until that point, the 5th book had just been released. And she showed them like a secure folder. She's like, this is the end. And she didn't mean this. She meant the King's Cross scene afterwards, the epilogue. And she's like, this is how it ends. And it's under lock and key, and it will, and like, this is where it's headed. So before she wrote the ending, she had already written that epilogue where they're like happy and adults. And by the way, reading it is way worse than watching it because they cut out like half of it. I was getting, they were name dropping so much. I was like getting whiplash from the amount of names that they're dropping, like the Lupin and Tonks's child, and just like all these names just drop. Scorpius Malfoy, like just, yeah, no, I mean, if you're into that shit, the movie sucks because there's like twice as much in the book. And if you're not into it, then it sucks either way. But I think that was a big mistake. Like me as a writer, having like seen that, I'm like, yeah, that was a big mistake to write yourself that scene and then feel like you had to get there.
I am so eager for you to reread Hunger Games.
I've already started, actually.
Yeah.
But
I have as well. Because there's an epilogue in Hunger Games too.
No, I hated the ending of Hunger Games.
Well,
very
there's a meta reason. Did you ever read her other series?
The other series
that she wrote? She wrote Hunger Games, and she wrote a series called Gregor the Overlander. It's 5 books.
No.
She got a lot of criticism for the depressing nature of her first series.
Is the Gregor one?
You liked Gregor the Overlander.
Yeah, the Gregor one was the first one. Yeah. It's different. It's from a boy's perspective, not a girl. There's less love nonsense. It's interesting.
And J.K. Rowling said that like she would get letters from parents being like, the ending of this book was way too dark. And she's like, I wrote back and told them not to read anymore. And like, I missed that version of J.K. Rowling. This ending at King's Cross. And like I said, like so many things. Harry seems like he would have been a shoo-in to be the teacher of Defense Against the Dark Arts.
But no, he's an horror and he has kids.
He's an horror,
And he's like,
the other thing is,
I named you after a Nazi.
Yeah. The teachers don't have families. Any of them. Like, what's up with that?
So they like, have to be celibate.
Could he not have a family if he grew up there? Like, I don't know. Maybe he would go do it when he's older. They want people to be older, maybe.
Maybe.
I don't know. But like, I don't know. Seeing them aged up like that, I just hated. I hated it all. If it were me, he would have died. And I think, like, looking forward into the future, a world where Harry Potter isn't real, but like Hermione's alive and Ron is alive. And like that, like to show there was true sacrifice, and like
he died for our sins. There's a reason Jesus dies for the sins.
The boy who lived to the boy who lived no more. Like,
yeah,
it's a good arc. And like he saved them all.
Yeah.
And that's how it should have ended, I think.
I can't wait to discuss Hunger Games with you.
At the time, I mean, I remember the ending. I remember like she ends up with Peter, and I was like, this is such.
Yeah, but that epilogue is directly added because the ending of Gregor the Overlander, which was first, the ending is very like, I would say it's bittersweet, but heavy on the depressing side. Like it's gone. Like this person is gone. You're not getting this person back, and it's over for you. Like you achieved what you wanted, but it's done. And people were really like, what the fuck? So that epilogue 100% was added in to be like, all right, fine, we're happy.
What's your guys' favorite movie
of Harry Potter?
I like Prisoner of Azkaban. That one's pretty good.
That
one's like the one that everyone picks.
I don't like that whole end exposition, like triple.
I like Chamber of Secrets. I enjoyed Chamber of Secrets. Like looking back, I had fun with that one. I enjoyed that one.
I like that one too, but now that I'm like, oh, they could have made it better. I can't pick that one. I think as far as movies, I think The Order of the Phoenix was my favorite. But as far as books, I think I enjoyed The Half-Blood Prince way more.
Can I share a kind of shitty theory with you guys?
Okay.
Have you ever heard the theory of the true face of death in these books? So you know the whole theory, like you hold the 3 Deathly Hollows and you are the master of death, right?
Sure.
So Kia, correct me if I'm wrong. At one point, Dumbledore held all 3 Hollows at one point or at the same time, right? At some point, he had the ring,
But
he had the
not all
wand.
at the same time.
I mean, if you're gonna go like that, like technically Harry also had them all.
Okay, what's the theory?
The theory was that like
Well, you
Dumbledore
asked
had
me
them
if it
all
was
at
all
one
the same
point,
time.
and the one of the lines in the story is the third brother met death as an old friend. So who does Harry meet in the afterlife but Dumbledore as an old friend? So everyone, like, there's
So
people that think like he
Dumbledore is
was
death.
really death.
They
That's why I say it was
actually
kind of shitty, but
in the King's Cross scene, the limbo one, Dumbledore actually does say, like, I don't think that the fable was true. I think that the brothers were actually just very powerful sorcerers who were able to make these objects themselves.
Hmm.
Like,
All right.
that's what Dumbledore says in the book.
Facts and logic destroying theory.
No, I mean that would be an interesting theory. The problem is his life is so like well known
and
like,
documented.
yeah.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't be like, how has this guy been alive all this time or whatever?
He's just killing all these people who keep crossing bridges. I don't know, man. Like,
Who's your favorite character?
Ooh.
I like Sirius.
But
I think
he's
I like
a
Lupin.
little bit of a mope, and Lupin is like the way that she wrote them because she wanted to like put the kids front and center. It's like they seem ineffective.
Oh, wait, I forgot to mention something. Do you
The
guys
way
catch
Sirius
the?
dies, he dies like a bitch. Let's be honest.
You guys
I know,
catch
but I
that
still
scene?
like him. I mean, who else in the movies? Who else is there?
You guys catch that scene in the movie where Greyback was feeding on Lavender Brown's body?
Yeah.
That little scene where it zooms in on him
Yeah.
doing it.
It
That's
is so
subtle.
funny. Like there's a battle going on. He's just like munching on a little girl, and then he sees them. He's like, "Oh!" and they shoot him through a window.
Hermione blasts him out the window. Yeah.
Okay, my favorite character would have been Kingsley Shacklebolt, but I feel like he didn't like. I just remember him like going 2v1 against Bellatrix, and they lose, and then beyond that, he's like mostly off screen. But I think he would have been like a cool guy. He becomes the new Ministry of Magic minister. of
Really?
Magic.
Mhm.
Yeah. But it's like the guy in the movie, he's not doing it for me. I thought he was
Dumbledore's
gonna
got
be
style.
cool. I thought he was gonna be like Luke Cage, but like the wizard. Like I thought he was gonna be badass.
Instead,
They
he's
break
kinda
his
like
wand. He
Dr.
just beats the
Dolittle,
shit
the
out of them with
wizard.
his fists.
I think like I was leaning towards Sirius as well. And I'm like, the guy fucking died. Like
Yeah, but in the movies, who do you have who's like who then? In the
Hermione.
movies only.
She's the only one that is actually competent. She saves their ass countless times. She's perfect in the sense that like Dumbledore's gone. Who's gonna fill those shoes? And it's her. And she's like set up to do like you believe that she's that smart and that she can come up with these answers. As opposed to Ron, J.K. Rowling said Ron is based on her friend, and his whole thing is like he's there when you need him. And I'm like, you mean like he's loyal? Isn't that what a Hufflepuff is? Because as far as bravery, that dude is always like, let's get the fuck out of here. Right?
Yeah, you read The Cursed Child, right?
No.
Or you watched the play?
No.
No? Okay, never mind. Are you going to read it?
I don't know. Is it any good?
From what I hear, no. But
Probably not.
I think that it sort of ends up like she becomes the Minister of Magic. Harry becomes an Auror, and Ron just takes over the joke shop.
Ron works with Fred, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Hermione is like the best of them by far. And it's annoying to me how little she had to do in some of those stories.
Yeah.
She was always up to like some stupid thing, but I'm like, this is like gold. You have gold in your hand. Like use this girl. And like when Dumbledore was gone and they were on the run, she got to finally like stretch her legs and do stuff for them. I think she's the best character. Not just because she's a girl or whatever, but I actually think that she had a lot of, her background was well fleshed out. Her parents, like, she comes from a unique area. She's the chosen one as much as Harry. Like, she's the best of them. She's the best of the whole school. She has no right to be, and yet she is, and it's through hard work and like determination, and like she takes things seriously. Um, she has a lot of experiences. Like, she's along for the ride. She's not only there with Harry. She's usually doing her own thing that ends up like tying into the ending somehow. Um, Ron, I don't like at all. Ron's annoying, and he's miserable and mopey. Um, I'm trying to think who else. Dumbledore, I guess, but like I don't like Dumbledore. He's so incompetent in so many ways. Um, I like McGonagall too.
Yeah,
I like her
McGonagall's
as
good.
well.
It's not that I gravitate towards the female characters. It's just like I feel like the men kind of suck.
Well, I wonder if she wrote subconsciously the female characters to be a little more.
Well, she says that she's Hermione.
Oh.
Um, I don't know where McGonagall came from, but she's good. Um, even Luna is more likable than like Ron, in my opinion.
Mhm.
A lot of the male characters in this are played off as kind of like either like very clearly flawed or like comedic.
I don't know, because she's like a domestic abuse survivor or something, but they are very flawed. Every single one of them is like I said, ineffective. Like like Lupin just can't come to terms with his werewolf thing, and he's like a douchebag because of it. Um, Dumbledore, the fact that Dumbledore just doesn't tell people. He said that the reason he needed to do that was because he wanted Hermione to help him figure it out, to slow him down so he wouldn't figure out that he was supposed to die so quickly. Because otherwise he wouldn't keep destroying Horcruxes. So like that's why he didn't tell him.
Yeah, but that's stupid. You could
It's
explain like you
real
need to
flimsy.
destroy them all and then you're the last one. And that puts even more like pressure on Harry because he knows he can't die while he's destroying these things. He can't make the sacrifice play even though he wants to because he needs to die at the right moment.
Emerson, do you remember there was a version of my story where the main character after the battle, it just sort of ended on like him being like, yeah, I gotta get some like treatment for my arm. Do you remember that?
Yes, where he just lived and it was fine actually. Like
And he's like, all right, I gotta go like get my arm taken care of. That is kind of how she ends it in the book, believe it or not. And I'll read you that section. He's talking to Dumbledore's portrait. Dumbledore nodded. They smiled at each other. Are you sure? Said Ron. There was the faintest trace of longing in his voice as he looked at the Elder Wand. I think Harry's right, said Hermione quietly. That wand's more trouble than it's worth, said Harry. And quite honestly, he turned away from the painted portraits, thinking now only of the four-poster bed lying waiting for him in Gryffindor Tower, and wondering whether Creature might bring him a sandwich there. I've had enough trouble for a lifetime. That's the last part, and then they jump to 19 years later. It's a bad ending.
Little did they know they'd be dealing with the COVID-19 pandemic and Russia's invading Ukraine. And
but that's a bad, and that was
agree.
like one of my early drafts. Like it's almost like word for word. Like
and
looks
now
around,
we have something else to do. Yeah.
I'm just gonna go do something. Like it's over. End of the story. Like, and I think it's because she had that epilogue already planned and it butchered her a little.
I also think that in almost any type of story anyone creates, in one of the early versions, regardless of what the later versions, everyone is okay at the end. And because that's a human thing, like people like on some level, like, and it ended up okay. There's a reason happily ever after is like the generic thing because people like that it ends up okay. It's only until later, like Kia, like you, I think you would say that when you create something, you want there to be real stakes and real powerful memories. And a powerful impact is a death or a sacrifice, something lasting.
When something ends, it forces you to take stock of its value. when Captain America goes back to the 1940s, everything he's done up to that point now has real value to it. Because
Yeah,
there's
and when
no more.
Iron Man is dead, it's like he's dead. Like
When Peter Parker gets reset and he's lost everything, and you're like, damn, so that whole thing now is a tragedy. All his entire trilogy and all the other, it's all a tragedy. He's headed for like the worst moment of his life, everything that happens to him. And now it has value. You want Avenger Spider-Man? There it is. Open and closed. There's no more. Like that version is gone, right? I mean, they'll probably butcher it and bring it back, but at this point right now, like all of that stuff has ended, and there's value in that. There's value in having your character lose like that and to put an end on it. And you don't need him to just be like, hey, everything's fine. Oh, look, my suit's back and this is back. And even Tony Stark is somehow back. And like, just keep going and going. Bring Black Widow from another universe. Like, no, don't. Stop. Like, anyway, I think that's it. Yeah. I mean, there's things that I would change. We went through it. I think this could be due for a rewrite.
it's going to happen at some point here. The thing is, there's a lot of people who, well, not a lot of people. There would be a very loud group that would be against any sort of re-examination of this story.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, I don't understand why these corporations listen to those minorities on Twitter. Like,
because the
voices.
average person tends to just do whatever, right? Like the average person, the real average person is not influenced by someone on Twitter, like saying, don't do this or do this. However, they gain points by listening to this group, because they listen to this group, then article gets published like blah, 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 respects the opinions of blah, blah, blah. And then someone reads it and it's like free, like feel good stuff. So then in the background, they can like fire 2 million people and like dump toxic waste in the bushes.
And personally, I wouldn't involve J.K. Rowling. I would like get her blessing, but I wouldn't. We don't need her because we're going to rewrite it. So like we have the outline, we're going to do it different. That's the whole point. Is like this is a different version, slightly. And as far as like we love our original, I don't care. People showed up for the Lion King remake. It doesn't matter. Like people will watch it.
One of our biggest criticisms on this is that nothing's original, and now we're advocating for.
Well, I'm just saying, like, there's value here. There's a lot of potential here that is still a little untapped, I think, and they could do it better. And with 20 years later, I think it's time for another generation who could totally latch on. And now that there's appetite for like TV series and not everything has to be a blockbuster movie, and you could actually do it really well.
Yeah.
And to me, I think it's worth trying. I think the story is good enough that it's worth a shot.
Yeah, I agree.
Anyway, so that ends our Harry Potter miniseries. So you guys want to do Hunger Games next week? Is that realistic?
So I'm down. I've basically finished the first book.
Oh, okay.
But we could
I'm
wait.
on,
I can
chapter
reread
3.
it if need be.
Yeah, I'm on chapter 3.
Well, Everett, is that okay with you, or are
And
you
there's
not going to be
27
able to
chapters.
read the book?
I haven't started, but I could very easily read it this week.
Well, we
It's
can
up to you,
try,
Keith.
and if we can't make it, then we'll watch
Fantastic
Four
Four.
instead.
Yeah.
But
Okay,
I'll,
cool.
I'll give
Now-
an attempt to try to get there.
I have a smart ass for you guys if you want to do it. It's
Is it Harry Potter based?
mm-hmm.
Oh, okay, then I guess we should
Okay,
do
yeah,
it.
sure. Let's do it.
Okay, so yeah, I did something special for the ending of our Harry Potter miniseries. So I have 10 questions for you. Each one is having to do with a different book or movie. Each question is worth 1 point. You guys want to do it?
Am I going to have an equal?
It's the
Opportunity
movie.
in
It's
this?
it's the movies basically. So
Okay,
everybody has the
yeah,
equal
okay.
knowledge.
Right.
Okay.
Right, yeah, let's do it.
All right. Here we go. You ready? So here we go. Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. Question 1. How many gifts did
The book question.
No, this is a movie question. How many gifts did Dudley
it's not
Dursley
called
receive on
Philosopher's
his
Stone.
11th birthday?
But
The
it's not
Sorcerer's
called
Stone. The Sorcerer's Stone. It's the same thing. How many gifts did
I don't
Dudley
know.
Dursley receive on his 11th birthday?
13,
No.
47,
No.
12,
Nope.
37.
No.
11.
No.
17,
43,
Nope.
33.
20,
Nope.
50.
You want me to give you a hint?
42,
All right, here's your hint. Emerson was closest when he said 37.
38,
Nope.
39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44,
Nope.
36,
35,
35.
36. I heard Emerson say it first.
Okay. Okay. Number questions are always real questionable because it very quickly just becomes saying numbers.
Okay, next question. Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. Here it is. Finish this quote. The Chamber of Secrets has been opened. Finish the quote.
Quote.
The Chamber of Secrets has been opened. ...
Fuck.
Again.
No.
And it's just like it was
Once
before.
more.
Nope.
Is there like
Here-
another
here's your hint.
phrase? Is it a word?
No. Here's your hint. It's Hermione is the one that says it.
And the last time it didn't end till a
For
muggle
the second
died.
time?
Nope.
Yeah.
Chamber
Some
of Secrets has
variation.
been opened.
And no one is safe.
Nope. It's written on the wall. Is another hint.
Chamber of Secrets has been opened and Slytherin will rule again. I don't know.
No.
You're all gonna die.
Okay.
Potter's next.
Trying to think of how to give you guys
I
hints.
have a hostage.
Okay. The
God's
the,
not
the finish.
dead.
The end of the quote is 5 words.
Dear Evan Hansen, I
No.
want.
Chamber of Secrets has been opened because you didn't remove Joe Rogan from Spotify.
Or the
These are
first
deep.
word of the rest of the quote begins with an E.
Tell us the first word.
Enemies.
Enemies of the air beware.
Correct. Nice. All right. Next one.
Wouldn't have got that.
Prisoner of Azkaban. In what order do the Marauders' names appear on the Marauders map?
It's like Padfoot something and something.
Oh,
Yeah, I
Padfoot,
know.
Proctor and Tongs.
No.
no. I'm looking at it right here. You have to say it in order.
Yeah, the problem is if I guess more than once, then Emerson's just going to say it in a different order and get the point.
I mean, guess it then. Like, one of you's got to get it first.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember the fourth guy.
There's 4 of them?
Yeah, there's 4 of them.
What the fuck? I thought there were 3.
I can't remember the biggest one.
Okay. Well, I can't give you hints because it'll tell you the order.
I mean,
I'm willing to take the L on this one.
Okay, you guys want to skip it? I can skip to the next one.
No, we shouldn't skip it because I think I am never going to get this. I just want to point that out.
I don't remember Lupin's name.
Okay, you can give me their names or
Mooney?
you can give me their
Mooney?
titles. I don't care.
Moon
Just
something.
Oh, it's Mooney, yeah. So, but the order.
I have no idea what the fuck the order is. I don't know what the fuck.
It's Padfoot, Prongs, Wormtail, and Mooney, but I don't know the order. I think Padfoot's first.
I'm not guessing because I think
Okay.
it's not fair for me to just like
Mooney,
reorder it.
Mooney, Padfoot, Wormtail, and Prongs.
no.
It's like a million combinations.
Yeah, I know. It's 4 to the power of 4.
You were
combination.
close, but not.
Wow, that's a
Mooney,
great fucking hit.
Padfoot, Prongs, and Wormtail.
No.
Mooney,
This is fucking stupid.
Prongs, Padfoot, and Wormtail. Did I just say that?
You just said that.
I'm not
Mooney,
guessing.
Prongs, Wormtail, and Padfoot.
Okay.
Ever
Mooney
just
is
give
first.
him the fucking.
Mooney is first.
Yeah, he knows that.
Okay, fine. Emerson already opted out, so I'll give you the point. But
What was it?
the Mooney, Wormtail, Padfoot, and Prongs.
Oh,
See, I
okay.
didn't even know there were 4 of them. I don't.
They
like-
say it in the movie.
Yeah, I understand that, but I don't
Doesn't remember.
remember.
Okay, fine. Moving on. Goblet of Fire. How old do you have to be to put your name in the Goblet of Fire?
17.
Correct. Okay.
Unless somebody clearly violates it and puts a younger
Right.
person.
Order of the Phoenix. What is the line that Harry must repeatedly write while he's in detention?
I must not tell lies.
Correct.
Okay, I'm getting slaughtered.
Okay. Half-Blood Prince. Who is the student that gets cursed by the necklace?
The necklace.
Oh God, what the fuck is her name, dude?
Katie Bell.
Correct.
Yeah, I didn't know what her name was.
All right.
She's actually in the story, but not in the movie. That's the why.
Deathly Hallows Part 1. What is the name of the Hogwarts professor who's murdered by Voldemort at the Death Eater meeting?
I don't know, like Arboleta.
No.
We're never gonna get that.
All right. Starts with a C.
Charbroiled. I don't know.
Cuckold.
C-H.
Chimney.
C-H-A.
Professor Champ.
C-H-A-R.
Chimpanzee.
Professor
Chimpanzee.
Char. So yeah, I was
C-H-
sort of right. Charbroiled.
C-H-A-R-I.
Professor
Cheery.
Charon.
No. C-H-A-R-I-T.
Charity.
Charidans.
The first name is Charity. The last name starts with a B.
Are you fucking kidding
Oh,
me?
there's a last name. Oh my god.
Charity, bitch. I don't fucking know.
B
Char-
U
Charity Bueno.
R
Charity Burrito.
B
Charity Barumbo.
A
Charity
Charity
Buraba.
Burbacks.
E. That's
Evan,
it.
I don't even know what
Whoever
the fuck
says
you're
it
saying.
first.
I didn't even hear what you
Yeah.
said.
Burbo what?
Burbagug. Charity Burbag.
Kia was closest. Screw it. Fine.
Okay.
Last-
these,
okay.
these type of questions
Yeah,
really
charbroiled for the win.
Next one. Fine. Deathly Hallows Part 2. What is the type of dragon that's guarding the Gringotts Bank?
It's albino.
albino.
No, they say it. Ron says it in the movie.
Yeah, I know, but
Toothless.
No.
you don't know any other dragons besides Hungarian Horntail, and it's not that.
A spike-tailed bitch.
It's a Bulgarian bitch face. I don't know.
Yeah.
No.
A fucking ball dragging bad man. I don't fucking know, Everett. Are you gonna give us some real hints? or did you-
Albanian ass
Starts with a U.
Are you fucking kidding me? A Eurasian yimp. Wait, no, that's E.
a Uranus,
Okay. Based on the name, I guess it comes from Ukraine.
a Ukrainian fuckface.
No.
A Ukrainian horntail. A
No.
Ukrainian tail horn.
Second word starts with an I.
A Ukrainian
a
Izimaki.
Ukrainian eagle
I
flap.
R
A
O.
Ukrainian irony, bro.
Iron face, Iron man, Iron dog,
B
Iron tail, Iron tail.
E
Wait, V. Wait, what?
L.
I lost
L.
track of the spelling. I don't even know what you're saying.
God fucking damn it.
You
Okay.
didn't prepare hints because you're a moron. You thought we would just get
These are
this.
hard questions.
God forbid you watch the movie. Okay.
We
Jesus.
did watch it. We just reviewed it. We're not going to remember the random name of the
I
dragon. It was
remember
in
it.
the movie for 2 minutes. You made the questions.
Oh my- Okay.
Ukrainian Ridgeback.
No.
Wait, you said it.
Ukrainian.
Say the spelling again.
Iron
I
balls.
R O N B
Ironback.
E L L
Iron Bell.
Y.
Iron,
Iron
belly.
belly.
Ukrainian Iron Belly.
You got it first.
Yeah.
God damn it. All right.
Spell the whole thing.
I have 2 questions based on the Fantastic Beast ones. Do you even care?
Fuck
Yeah, let's go.
Let's
do
do
it.
it.
Okay.
like
Fantastic
Better have
Beast
some
1.
hints, bitch.
What is the first Fantastic Beast that escapes from the suitcase?
The Quibbler.
The
Nibbler.
is this Sniffler? Is it a nibbler?
What?
Sniffler? Niffler? Niffler? Yeah.
Yeah, that's
That's
correct.
it.
You
Yeah.
said
Emerson got like
nibbler?
3
Okay.
different variations of it.
What,
right,
what is a
Crimes of Grindelwald.
Quibbler? I feel like a Quibbler.
That's
is
the
a-
That's
that's the paper that
Lovegood's,
Looney's dad writes.
Oh,
newspaper.
okay. Yeah.
All right, Crimes of Grindelwald. What is the magical creature said to come to any member of the Dumbledore family when they're in desperate need?
Phoenix.
Phoenix.
Correct. Yeah, Emerson got it first.
All right, whatever.
All right. Okay.
Look how demoralized he is.
Okay, so Emerson got 3 points.
And Kia got 7.
So
Hey,
Emerson's at 8. Kia's at 10. Kia's in the lead.
I was that far behind already.
Yeah, but now you're in the lead by
Holy
2 points.
fuck. That's crazy though. So he has 8. So he had 5, and I had 0. Was that it?
Yeah,
Or I had 3?
you had 3.
It was 5-3, really? Oh.
Yeah. So cool.
All right. All right. I was thinking, let's just say Fantastic Four for next week, and then if I finish, or if Everett can't finish, I'll let you know.
Okay, cool.
Because
Alright.
I don't know that I can do it. 300, like, I just have things to do. I could read it, but I don't know if I'll have time is the problem.
That's fair.
So we'll see that. All right. Fuck. Buy the book, The Goal Line, in the description. It's my graphic novel.
It's really good. Everyone on the podcast has talked about buying it. 66% of us have bought
Dude, shut the fuck up.
it. Buy the book, Everett. It's been too fucking long. Support him.
Everett can't purchase the book unless he knows that my signature's in it. That prevents him from buying the ebook somehow and at least just supporting. You know, I read scripts that you've written, Everett. You thought enough of me to ask me to edit your writing, but when I've actually finished something, you don't read it.
And you can buy it and review it to give him more reviews.
Yeah, that's true too. I could use more reviews. Look at him. Look at his face. Okay. All right. We'll see you guys next week.
See ya.
See you next week, trader.